All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Unity in the Community. I'm your host, James Jackson, lead pastor for Fervent Prayer Church, and your lead host for Unity in the Community. I hope you're doing well on this afternoon, and what a beautiful afternoon it is here in the great city of Indianapolis. On the way in, I saw Jack's Donuts. I say that because they used to have one in Fort Bend out on 56th Street. They closed it, and I enjoyed their, what do you call that? They had a donut with some Bavarian cream in it. Absolutely delicious. So when I saw that on my way in, I thought, well, maybe I'll stop by there before I go to my next appointment. Anyway, good afternoon. Good to have you all on with me on this afternoon. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody we are on. It's going to be a great show on today. The sun is shining. Monday, the 22nd, is the first day of fall, and the leaves are already falling off the trees. So nature and wildlife, they don't wait on us. The squirrels are already hiding nuts in the ground. The average squirrel, as I understand it, hides about 1,000. That's 1,000 nuts in the ground every year. And so they can go back to that during the winter and the early spring. And it's amazing how they're able to locate what they bury. And some of the nuts they do not recover, and those become more trees with nuts on them. So it's amazing just how all that works out. But it's a beautiful afternoon. Fall is just about here, but we are still enjoying above average temperatures. 83 when I came in here today, loving it. Yesterday we were in the 90s, but it is still summer, and so enjoy these last couple of days of summer. And the first days of fall are almost up on us. The number to call to be a part of our show on today is 317-480-1310, 317-480-1310. Again, that's 317-480-1310 gets you in on this afternoon. Shay is on the controls, and she'll be sure that you can get tapped in, you can get logged in, you can get locked in on today so that you can be a part of the conversation. We're talking about free speech on this afternoon. Of course, we are finding that free speech is not free. You can say what you want to say. You have a First Amendment right to do that. But as we are finding out, and many of you already knew, um, there are consequences to what we say. Again, that number to call is 317-480-1310, 317-480-1310. I want to pray for you as we get into the show on today. Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to share with our listening audience. We thank you for all that has been done in our city. We thank you for your blessing our city. We ask you to continue to help us to do those things that will make Indianapolis even a greater city. We ask that you would strengthen us, lead us, guide us, protect us. Your word says we are to work for the peace of the city. For when the city has peace, then we will all have peace. And so we ask you to help us, lead us, guide us, give us strategies and stratagems so that we can work with the people who live in Indianapolis so that this city will be more commodious to live in. We thank you, oh God, for all of our leaders, from the mayor's office all the way down to the homes in every part of the 400 square miles that make up Indianapolis. You've given us one of the largest cities in the United States of America, an important city, third largest in the American Midwest region, comprised of 12 states. Help us to be everything that you intended for us to be, economically, spiritually, physically, financially, relationally, educationally. Help us. We need your help. We're looking to you, and according to 2 Chronicles 20, as King Jehoshaphat said, with all the people who were with him facing three kings coming against him, we don't know what to do, but our eyes are upon you. We're looking to you for direction. We're looking to you for guidance. We're looking to you for resources, strength, resilience, and all that is needed to do what you have given us to do. And we give you all the praise, all the glory, and all the honor. In Jesus' name, amen. Last week, Bishop Derek Jefferson and I, we talked about, and you, those of you who are in our listening audience, and our viewing audience, because we are streaming on my YouTube and on the Fervent Prayer Church Facebook page, we are streaming. And you can listen in on AM 1310 and 95.1 FM. I remember when we used to just be AM 1310 back in the day when we had no advertisers. Some of you all may not remember that. Now we have ads that come on. But many, many years ago, a couple of decades ago, we didn't have advertisers like we do now. So the Lord has blessed us. We have all kinds of folk who advertise on this frequency. And it's just such a great blessing. And kudos to all the churches who have been part of the AM 1310 family. Praise Indy. Now, not just AM 1310, but 95.1 FM. And we were tri-casting on radio at one time. There was a third frequency, but now it's just two. And so we've come a long, long way. And we want to thank all of you, our listeners, and everyone who has had paid programming, and those of you who have prayed for this station. And we're still here. You know, media, which is what we represent, is one of the 7 societal influencers. You got 7 societal influencers, and media is one of the biggest ones. Of course, we also touch in the arts and entertainment area too. So 2 very, very important areas that we primarily deal in as a radio station. And we're here to inspire you. So Bishop Jefferson and I were talking about, along with you, and let me interject this. On this evening, there's going to be a 40th year class reunion, 1985. Space Pioneers Northwest. What used to be Northwest High School, I think it's junior high now, but it was one of the best, if not back in 1985, the best high school in the city of Indianapolis, as far as I'm concerned. And 40th class reunion going on today, starting at 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. there at Northwest High School on beautiful northwest side of Indianapolis. So if you graduated class of 1985 and you want to see some of us, I say it's many hairlines ago. Kenneth McMitchell, who was the quarterback. Paul Carter, Allen, and all those folks, we were playing football together. I started both ways, halfback and sometime wide receiver and safety. And Kenneth McMitchell, he sent me a picture today. The Indianapolis Star came out. My senior year, I was a really good football player. I'm kind of a late bloomer, if you will. But played back at Willard J. Gamble School 108. Mr. Smith was our coach back then, and then we all went on over to Northwest High School, and I played freshman year, played sophomore year. Junior year, I went to work. I wish that I could have. I wish that I would have still. I just kept on playing football, but went to work and sat out my junior year and came back and played my senior year. And I had a really good year in football. The news media was not there for me. They were there for our team. We had a really good team. But they did take a couple of shots of me, one scoring a touchdown, and then one I was on the sidelines getting some rest there. But I was number 21. They called me Action Jackson back then, Action Jackson. I've been in action ever since. Anyway, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. this afternoon, on into the evening, Space Pioneers is going to be celebrating. Even if you didn't graduate in 1985, perhaps you could stop by and say hello. I plan to be there. All right. So last week, myself and Bishop Derek Jefferson, we were talking about the Charlie Kirk issue. And I'm going to continue on talking about that a little bit more today because it's still trending in the media. And there have been some things added to that. Jimmy Kimmel, as you know, one of ABC's talented stars in talk and comedy show has pretty much been deleted. I don't think it's going to be coming back. People say it's indefinitely suspended. Suspended gives you a sense that it might be back. I don't think that's going to happen. And the reason why his show is being deleted or indefinitely suspended, the language that they use, is because of comments that he made dovetailing on the assassination or murdering, some say assassination, but murder of Charlie Kirk. Turning Point USA, an organization that is quickly expanding now because Charlie Kirk is now and will go down in history as a martyr. And so Jimmy Kimmel made some comments about Charlie Kirk. I want you to take a listen to it and then we'll chat about it.
Pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
On the launch of your friend Charlie Kirk, may I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief: construction, demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
Kimmel then.
All right. I think we had another one too with some specific language about the MAGA gang. Did you have that one?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to pull that one up. But you heard the words of Jimmy Kimmel on the president and calling him a 4-year-old and so on and so forth. Again, your right is to say whatever you want to say. You have a First Amendment right to do that. And of course, comedians, they kind of push the envelope on that. But in this case, I went too far. Some say anyway. So let's listen to this one.
Murder. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
So the one that you had earlier about the MAGA gang.
It was the same clip.
Is
I
it?
guess he didn't say it.
Reaction.
Yeah.
Let me find that.
Okay. So anyway, while Shay is finding that one, Jimmy Kimmel said the MAGA gang was using the Charlie Kirk murder as to gain political points. And subsequently, his show was suspended and canceled. And now we're seeing more of what happened around that, where the FCC chair said that Kimmel was talentless. Of course, President Trump also said that Jimmy Kimmel had no talent. Of course, we know that that's propaganda. Propaganda, name calling is part of propaganda and saying things like that. But Jimmy Kimmel certainly would not be where he was without having talent. So he was very talented. But how does the FCC chair get involved in this? Well, ABC, and I was kind of looking at this and reading some things, and so just kind of a flyover of what happened or what was going on. ABC has been posited that ABC is in the midst of some kind of a negotiation worth over $6 billion. And of course, they need their license to keep going. And they were threatened if they did not pull the show, then they may not be able to keep their license for allowing some indecent remarks made by Jimmy Kimmel. They said, well, that's indecent. You shouldn't be saying things like that. And so because of the indecency of what you said, then we want you off the air. Now, there's a lot of money on the table. You're talking about billions of dollars. So do you keep Jimmy Kimmel and lose your license, or do you keep your license and lose Jimmy Kimmel? So we see the decision that ABC is making. What's interesting about all this is when did people really ever care about decency in broadcasting? Because there's a lot of stuff transmitted over airwaves, whether radio or television or social media, that is not decent, that nobody in the federal government, state government, or local government says, well, that's not decent. So we want to pull that. You got to get that person off the air. They can't do that. And so just to go after one person, to go after Jimmy Kimmel like that, I think is terribly unfair. But that's the way it's going. So did we find that one? And if not, it's okay. You didn't find it. Okay. So, but I do also want to kind of go back and talk about why the man that killed Charlie Kirk, why he did that. And I think this clip will help us to understand more about that.
Kind of just make sure we all know what time it is. So that I judge a politician based on how they tell the time, not obviously that metaphorically. What time is it? Do you really still think we live in a country where live and let live is a thing? And this is what drives me nuts about some older conservatives where they say, Charlie, why do you talk about the trans thing so much? I said, well, you still think we live in 1996. So you still think we live in a country where it's all about tolerance. So here's the spectrum, right? First, you must tolerate something, mandatory tolerance. Okay, fine, sure, I tolerate it. Then it's mandatory acceptance. You must agree with it. But then it's mandatory celebration. Like you must then it's mandatory participation. What time is it? We are now transitioning from mandatory celebration to mandatory participation. Where that if you're a baseball player and you don't want to wear the patch on the sleeve in the Tampa Bay Rays, you're not allowed to play in the baseball game. Mandatory celebration, mandatory participation. So what time is it exactly? I won't interfere with your life and you won't interfere with mine. What a lie. Are you kidding me? They put guns on our head. We're like, oh, actually, I'm going to let you do whatever you want. Actually, they're the ones that are willing to use force against us all the time. And we're supposed to believe that we're still in kind of this live and let live atmosphere. Look, live and let live works if both sides agree to it.
All right. So
it has to be.
Charlie Kirk, who was murdered by Tyler James Robinson, 22-year-old, being charged with aggravated murder and several other related accounts. And of course, he was involved with what they say was a trans man. So it's been reported that Tyler Robinson said he was tired of the hate. So he characterized things that Charlie Kirk was saying as hate, and he was tired of that. So when we start looking at this, we get more of an understanding as to why the guy did what he did, and now all the fallout that's happening, the Jimmy Kimmel show being canceled or suspended or whatever you want to say about it, and people talking about free speech, and you should be able to say whatever you want to say without state controlled media, and so on and so on and so on. Of course, President Trump is not like other presidents in the past very much. And so we're seeing a lot of things that we haven't seen before happening. So I want to get your take on it and the things that we've shared with you on today with regard to free speech and this situation and what you think about it. 317-480-1310, 317-480-1310 is the number to call. Would love to have you on the show on today to get your thoughts and your insights to talk about it. And so oftentimes people say, well, I say what I want to say when I want to say it. And people do. And particularly those who are in leadership. And I can say even from my own experience, there's some things that I've said in the past publicly that have cost me some things. And It's just the kind of way it works. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, but there are people who are listening, and you have to be prepared for the consequences that may come in response to that. And that's not to say that we should go to violence like Tyler Robinson did. Certainly, that has no place anywhere, and we shouldn't be doing that. But you have a cancel culture, and that's taking it to a whole nother level to actually go out and to kill somebody. But 317-480-1310, 317-480-1310. I want to get your thoughts on free speech, being able to say what you want to say, when you want to say it, to who you want to say it to. Is that how it's supposed to be? Without consequence. And what should be done? Even the President of the United States. This was retaliation against a guy who's a comedian who has a show on ABC, who was just kind of saying some things there, and people were laughing about it. And then he gets canceled. Of course, he was making a whole lot of money. His name down Times Square, his picture all over the place. This Jimmy Kimmel I'm talking about, very, very successful in his prime. And then, boom, he's off the air. He's done. He's pulled. What do you think? 317-480-1310. This is Pastor Jackson. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Pastor Jackson. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. But at any rate, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate y'all's platform, and y'all so hospitable. Yes. But there was the same incident about a week ago where some woman shot somebody because she was in a trans relationship in the school. Apparently there's a lot of mental issues that need to be addressed. And, not to be negative, but if you read your Bible, not that anybody has to, but if you do, there are some practices like bestiality, because they haven't started putting that on TV yet, that part yet. But that's what they opening the door for, these atrocities and reprobate minds. But God is still on the throne, and we will make it through by following his will, in my opinion, only. That's my opinion. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
All right, Joyce, thank you for your call and comment. Going to Gerald. Gerald, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Can you turn your radio down for me? We're getting some feedback on this end.
Can you hear me now? Is it all right?
We can still hear your radio.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but we can still hear your radio. So just turn your radio down.
I did. Is it all right?
Yes, now it is.
Okay. God bless you, Pastor Jackson.
Thank you.
And I hope to be visiting your church. But anyway, I feel like freedom of speech for African Americans has never been really free because, when the police will pull you over and you start talking to them and you say something back, they lock you up. So, and words is powerful. The word of God. So, I just want to say that freedom of speech really has never really been free. It's been said, but there's consequences with your words. Just like Whoopi Goldberg, when she said she got suspended. So you got to be careful and choose your words when you even think that it's been free.
All right, Gerald, and your thoughts as far as Jimmy Kimmel is concerned? You think they should? You think that he should never have been fired?
I think he should have been fired, even though he said what he said. And then Trump. So our president, he's in the bag all by himself, and he got a nerve to want to fire somebody when he got convicted himself. But he attacked things like that. So I thought Jimmy Kimmel would have been more intelligent not to talk about someone that Trump admired. So being said, that's why he got fired.
All right, Gerald, thanks for your call and comment. Have a great day. All right, y'all, we have more coming up. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back after these messages.
Alexa, play Praise Indy. Yes, it's that easy. Discover the power of praise. AM 1310, 95.1 FM. On your Alexa-enabled smart speaker, just say, Alexa, play Praise Indy. And you're instantly connected to the best in gospel music. Let the soulful sounds uplift your spirit, energize your day, and fill your home with joy. But that's not all. Stay tuned for meaningful community discussions and inspiring messages that enlighten and empower. Whether you're cooking dinner, working from home, or simply relaxing, Praise AM 1310, 95.1 FM is your go-to source for music that moves you and words that inspire. Remember, just say, Alexa, play Praise Indy. And feel the music and inspiration of Praise AM 1310, 95.1 FM, Indy's inspiration station. Wednesday at 9 on Clio TV. I'm Chef Jannard Wells. I'm ditching the kitchen and heading out for some amazing adventures. I'm searching for hidden gems and the best Black-owned spots in America to experience incredible food, music, and Black culture. What really feels so good is seeing Black and brown people that look like me doing it big. Check out my brand new series, Savor the City. All new, Wednesday at 9 on Clio TV.
All right, 317-480-1310, 317-480-1310. That's 317-480-1310. We're talking about free speech on this afternoon. What are your thoughts about the limits of what we should be able to say? In principle, free speech means you can express your ideas, beliefs, or opinions without the government censoring or punishing you just because it disagrees. In the U.S., this is protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. So then, why wasn't Jimmy Kimmel protected? And why can't ABC just put him back on the air? The government, according to the United States Constitution, should not be able to censor what he said. Now, he did call MAGA, which is Make America Great Again. That's a part of the Republican Party. Those are not traditional Republicans, but the tens of millions of people who subscribe to the MAGA part of the Republican Party. And Jimmy Kimmel said the MAGA gang. So when I listened to that, I said, oh, he started off on the wrong foot there when he said that. And that was a direct shot at President Trump. And then he went on to say, oh, they're trying to get political points out of this. So no matter how true that is, are you free to say it? And sometimes comedians have a little bit more flexibility. They have a little bit more bandwidth to say what they want to say and wrap it up in comedy. But we're finding out that you can't think that just because you're a comedian, you can go out there and say something and get everybody laughing about it. Because now it becomes political. And it gets over into the area of defamation, because if you defame the party, that part of the party anyway, or defame the president, it could cost voters. So it gets that deep when lawsuits start flying all over the place. So some people say, well, Jimmy Kimmel ought to sue ABC and sue this person, sue that person. But he could also be sued. Some of these attorneys are real good at what they do. 317-480-1310, 317-480-1310. And of course, something like this happening does reverberate across the nation and affects other things. Anonymous, welcome to the program.
Thank you for taking my call. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you for calling.
Okay. I think that in regards to the Jimmy Kimmel situation, I don't think he should have been fired or suspended or anything. They are comedians. They're there to enlighten you. And regardless whether he uses the name gang or whatever the MAGA base refers themselves to. I mean, people that oppose them, we may call them clowns because because they have on big hats and a big red nose. That doesn't make them a clown because I called them one. I mean, but I don't think that he should have been suspended nor fired or anything. I think this is Trump exercising and putting into practice what he said and told us that he was going to do prior to being elected. He's a vindictive person, and he wants to be a dictator, and this is how he is going to dictate and rule. So I think he's being exactly who he said he was going to be, and that's why Kimmel is in this situation. But I guess my question is, which one of these executives are going to be the one that's going to stand up to Trump?
I don't think any of them are going to do that. I mean, it's been posited that they are in the midst of a $6.5 billion deal. And, the FCC has a lot to do with whether or not this deal goes forward. So,
right. So he's trying to politicize the FCC.
That has been done. That is, to your point, it was done. To weaponize the FCC, which is a very powerful organization. They have a lot of power. The federal government, state government, and local government, they have a lot of power. The laws and ordinances that impact and affect all of our lives. And the FCC, even this station, you have to get renewed. You have to get your licenses and your permits. And even myself, I'm going to build a building. I can't just go out there and build a building. I have to apply for a permit. And then I have to go sometime, depending on what you're trying to do, you got to get rezoned. You got to go before the 25 counselors downtown. And they've got to look at it, and they've got to determine whether or not it's going to be a good thing for the city. You might be a developer and come on the Far East Side, and you want to build an apartment building, or you want to do something. Well, the community may not think it should be there. That's it has been done. That's factual. And it can be stopped by the community in lockstep with the district counselor. And so government, local, state, and federal government, they have a lot of power. You can build a house, and they can say, well, this is what your property tax is going to be. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Don't pay the price. See, you never really, at least in Indiana, you never really own your house. You might be the homeowner to some degree. But as long as there's property taxes, even if you pay your house off, you still got to pay the property tax. And if you don't pay the property tax, let's say you've missed a couple of years and you owe like $600-700, your house can go on a tax sale. Maybe you paid $300,000-400,000 over 30 years for it. Miss those taxes and see what happens. And legally, it wouldn't be anything you could do. That's been done. They'll take the house away from you. Now, there are a lot of benefits to paying property taxes. They just don't take that money and go on vacation with it. There's a lot of community things we enjoy. There are a lot of things that money pays for. Anyway, 317-480-1310. Was Jimmy Kimmel treated unfairly by being censored? Not just censored, but deleted quickly. He was dealt with more quickly than Charlie Kirk's killer is going to be dealt with. That's going to be a long case, highly publicized. And even if he does get the death penalty, that won't happen in the next few years anyway. All right. We're having a few technical difficulties, so I can't see your name like I usually do. So I'm just going to say you're on the air, and then Shay's going to put you on. So she's going to be determining who's going to be next until we get reset over here. All right. You're on the air. Welcome to the program.
Hi, this is Teresa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I just kind of got in on a tail end, and I'm not really familiar with a lot of things that go on because I don't watch a lot of television and stuff.
Mhm.
But I am trying to catch up.
Good.
So you had a caller that just said something about the Bible, and she's like reading the Bible, and she's like, you don't have to. Well, I actually believe you do have to understand what's going on in this world. And one of the things I wanted to just stress was the biblical aspect of, there's a time and season for everything. I do believe that with the killing of Charlie Kirk, was not the time to make any type of joke or anything about it because someone's life was at stake. So I think the timing and season, Ecclesiastes, there's a time to speak and a time not to, even though he was a comedian, having enough wisdom to recognize that this wasn't the time to even make that statement. But again, wisdom comes from God. And in regards to you talking about the money thing, well, we already know that, there's two gods. There's the one true God and then there's money. And money kind of controls everything. And as you were just speaking with the other caller, the one thing you mentioned was basically about the rules and regulations. And when I listen to your radio station, there's a broadcast that comes on and says, hey, the views and opinions of this broadcast is not, So I do
a disclaimer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do believe that just because you have to be aware of the laws, the Bible tells you that you have to be aware of the laws that are going on, and you just can't say and do anything you want to do. And the gentleman talked about freedom. Well, freedom of speech has its limits. Okay, I guess that makes sense. But one of the things I also want to comment about, even with Trump, he talked about the violence and how he can't stand violence and everything. And I'm saying, wait a minute, wasn't it just like a couple of years ago that you went and had this violent act done at the White House when you felt as though you weren't elected? And then there was another comment that I heard him make on the news the other day that he was bringing somebody to fight at the White House because he just has so much respect for the White House. But I'm saying, hey, weren't you the one who just actually had someone go? And so, again, biblically, he says you will know them by their fruit, not by what they say or not by what they stand for. And I don't see a whole lot of producing godly fruit from too many politicians, but they do what they're supposed to do, I guess.
All right. Thank you so much. Very insightful. And you made the point about decency. Many years ago, I was trying to figure out how we could stop some of the lyrics. We have some really good artists out here that write music, and the beats are incredible. But some of the stuff is just not good for our young people. And it was then, many years ago, when I was looking into decency in broadcasting laws. And it's interesting, there are laws on the books, believe it or not, that regulate decency in broadcasting. And they're rarely enforced, rarely enforced. But it requires, as I recollect, it requires a lot of people coming together and saying to the FCC that we don't think this ought to be on the air. And unless you have people who are advocating for that, then the stuff just continues on. I do think a lot of the lyrical content that many of our young people hear from some of the music out there has a deleterious effect on them and their development. But that's just what I think. And I think our sister had a good point there. Timing is everything. And to make light of or to joke about something like that, absolutely too early, if ever, because of the horrific circumstances that surrounded it. It was just a terrible, terrible thing that happened with Charlie Kirk, no matter who you are or what side of the table you're on. It was just horrible. 317-480-1310. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome to the program. I think we got Bob next. Bob, welcome to the program.
Jackson, how are you this weekend?
Great. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thanks for asking. I hear it again today that people, Republican, Democrat, this and that. I don't consider myself neither of those two parties. I consider myself a common sense voter. Actually, when it comes to party labels, a couple of years ago, I voted for you. Okay?
Thank you.
So that doesn't label me as a 24/7, 365 Republican. I had to declare a party in the primaries, in order to cast a vote for you. So a lot of people, through their ignorance and being naive, don't know what they're talking about. To continue on here with the Jimmy Kimmel thing, President Trump did not fire him. The FCC did not fire him or suspend him. ABC Network did. Okay, he worked for ABC Network. The FCC, you're on public airwaves as we speak right now. Okay, the FCC controls and operates public airwaves, radio stations, TV. They don't function over social media. Anyway, back to Kimmel here. You know, it's really, really amazing that there are more people upset, apparently, that Mr. Kimmel got suspended or released or whatever you want to call it, than there are that are upset about Charlie Kirk last week being a victim of homicide. Now, that shows you, or shows anybody with any logical sense, especially biblical background, how extensive we live in a godless, radical left society. And what I call a lot of sick, sad people out there with reprobate minds. I mean, they're celebrating wickedness. They're calling evil good. They're morally bankrupt. And really, when it comes to the accused shooter of Mr. Kirk, his, let's say, male wannabe female friend, you get into, I don't call it a transsexual, I call it trans-identified, because Mr. Jackson, you know, wherever you're born, whether it be male or female, I don't care how many hormones you take, cosmetics, drugs, you ain't going to change it, folks. It's insanity to even believe that, but I'll leave it at that. And have a great weekend, sir, and talk to you soon.
All right, Bob, thanks for your call and comment. Going to Anonymous, welcome to the program. We're going to try to get all our callers in today. Anonymous, welcome to the program.
Yes, I hope you don't cut me off, but anyway, I'm going to say.
No, we're not going to cut you off.
It's been bothering me. I don't agree with the way you do your show. I mean, Black people are at a crisis. There is a thing you're talking about Jack's Donuts and walking the trail in your house, in your car, and a party for 1985. And we are losing our basic civil rights. People are racist. They don't care about Black people. You have a society who was founded by white males, and they want to maintain that. You don't speak out against that. You don't support that. And as far as religion goes, there are people, racism has always hid behind the white church, and they're doing it right now. Trump doesn't support the white church. He used it to get what he wants from the white church. And you got the Democrats, they were for abortion. They were for homosexuality and lesbianism. They were for marijuana use. So they're the bad guys. The good guys are the Republicans who weren't per se for that. You can have a white picket fence, a white man, a white woman, a white little boy, and a white little girl, and a dog and a cat, and you're still a sinner. Sin is sin across the board, period. And people take one thing and blow it out of proportion and say, oh, these are the worst sins ever. And that is just not true. You're not going to heaven with sin, period. I don't care what kind of sin. A liar is not going to heaven, just like somebody who's homosexual is not going to heaven. Nobody's going to heaven unless they are saved. I pray for President Trump. I pray for him that he gets saved. He is not saved. If he was saved, he wouldn't have bombed these people in these boats and all the stuff he is doing. He would not support the border and keeping people back. He wouldn't support people who are these, what are they? ISIS people picking people up and carrying them out and loading them up like they're, I don't know.
I'm not gonna cut you off, but we do have to move on. I got a lot of people want to get on. You there, Steve?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So thank you for your call and comment. and your personal attack against me for talking about Jack's Donuts. I talk about a lot on this show, and I've been doing this show for a long time. That doesn't include 30 years, 30 plus years I've served this community in lots of different ways, especially where young people. And myself, my ministry, we have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to support young people. We pay young people, even to this day, youth mentoring and employment, and just responding to some of the things you said about me personally and the service that I've given to this community, and I still give to this community and will continue to. And so, as far as the way I do the show, I'm sorry that you don't like it. I do mention things about my personal life from time to time, and the things that I do speak out against. That's my choice, whether I speak out against or support anything at all. But I think what's most important is that our community is unified, and everybody's different. Everybody has their thing that they believe in or don't like. I love everybody, despite their viewpoints or what they think about anything. But as far as James Jackson is concerned, and the things that we do, the Martin Center, the money that we raised for sickle cell, Dr. Moore and I, we did the very first telecast, telethon, and the Martin University, and the over a couple $100,000 that we helped them raise for the school for students. So I think when we're going to attack people, we need to look at everything that they've done and all that they do, even if we don't necessarily agree with them. But thank you for your call and comment, nevertheless. Go on to San. Welcome to the program.
Hi, there's been so much wisdom that's been shared with everybody. You guys are awesome. I want to go back to what I heard in terms of what Timmy Emma was talking about, and that what I heard in the first part, I don't know what he said in the second, I think he was really pointing out President Trump's hypocrisy at half mass, but it didn't sound like it was very sincere. This is a man that had two little children. They were cute little kids, regardless of whether you agree with his policies or whatever. A man is dead. It says, "Thou shalt not kill," except for during the time when black men were hung from trees, except for black men that want to try to vote or take care of their kids and take care of the family. Thou shalt not kill, period. There's two little babies that don't have their daddy. There's a wife, and he did not deserve to be murdered, regardless if you or I agree with him or not. But the thing I thought that I heard from what Jimmy Kimmel was saying was he was pointing out President Trump's hypocrisy in terms of, oh, he's concerned and all. But it was like, what I heard was like kind of a flip, like really? And we need to be in prayer for that family, that wife, those two children of this man who was murdered, regardless. Thou shalt not kill, if not except in. But we as a people, we need to get back to what we were taught, to believe in God and live it. Not talk it, live it.
All right.
We got to live it. And my father told me, he told me, and I remember this to this day, and he told me this before he sent me off to school at Purdue. He said, "Do not have any allegiance to any preacher or any political party. Look at the character. Look at the character." So you want to talk about hypocrisy? Donald Trump called Kamala Harris dumb. She's dumb, but she's got a law degree. She passed the bar exam. And I knew a young lady that passed the bar exam, and she told me, this young lady, she passed the first time. She said she was told only about 12% passed the bar exam the first time. So Kamala Harris wasn't dumb. Under the premises of what he's saying, maybe Kamala should be suing President Trump. So it's a matter of look at character. This man did not deserve to die. He should have been there. Whatever we thought of him, he should have been there to raise his children and be there with his wife. Whether black, white, whatever, ever.
All right.
And then what we need to do is look at character of people.
All right, Sam.
I'm done.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for your call and comment. We've got to take a quick break. We'll be back after this.
Are you looking for a source of inspiration and uplifting content? Log on to praiseindy.com for your all things positive and empowering in and around Indy. Whether you're on the go or relaxing at home, Praise Indy brings you the latest in gospel music, community news, and inspirational stories that touch the heart. And don't miss our Listen Live feature, now available on all mobile devices. Stream the best in gospel music and enlightening talk shows that keep you connected to the pulse of our community anytime, anywhere. Feel the spirit, share the joy, and be a part of something truly special. Visit us online today at praiseindy.com. That's praiseindy.com, where faith and community come alive.
September is Suicide Prevention Month. Praise Indy and Eskenazi Health are partnering to provide resources and support for those who need help. We want to share the power of understanding, care, and hope. Suicide is preventable, and together we can make a difference. Suicide is complex and influenced by many factors, but one thing is clear. Recognizing the warning signs and knowing what to do can save lives. Healing begins with understanding the risk, accessing supportive care, and sharing messages of hope. With the right support, anyone can heal, build resilience, and thrive. If you or someone you love is struggling, reach out. Call 317-880-8485 or dial 988 because no one should face their darkest moments alone. Hope and resilience grow when people feel heard. If you or a loved one are struggling, contact the Sandra Eskenazi Mental Health Center, where all clients are treated with dignity, confidentiality, and respect. Get the help you need, and remember, you are not alone. For more information, please visit eskenazihealth.edu/mental health.
Update and beautify your home with Sherwin-Williams pre-finished siding from Menards. LP Smart Side siding is durable and comes ready to install. Available in 13 timeless colors, it's machine applied for a professional look and coverage. That means no painting and no hassle for years to come. Save big money at all Sherwin-Williams pre-finished siding now at Menards. Plus, view our weekly flyer for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards. Let me tell you about this new Pretzel Cheddar Club. Hey, I'm Carlos.
And I'm Ebony. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Pretzel Cheddar Club
Is the tangy Dijon with the pretzel bun. It takes it to a whole nother level.
it goes perfectly with the chicken and the cheddar cheese and the bacon.
Man, you know how much you love bacon. And I love the different varieties. Grilled, spicy, original. It gets you nice and excited for fall.
Order the Pretzel Cheddar Club with cherry berry and Sprite for a limited time on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
All right, we got 3 callers that we got to get done in 4 minutes. So, Marcia, welcome to the program. Marcia, you there?
Yes,
Thanks.
I'm here.
Thanks for holding. Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Jackson, I'd like to thank you for all that you do for the community and have done in the past. I have followed you from the beginning,
Thank you.
but I want to say thank you for everything that you do. First of all, I want to say there was 2 kids that was killed the same day that Charlie Kirk was killed.
Mhm.
It was 5 minutes of news about these 2. It was a school shooting. It was 5 minutes of news about 2 kids dying, 2 babies dying. So the man in the White House wants to blow up the fact. I don't condone no shooting, and I'm sorry. My condolences to the Kirk family. But what about these 2 babies? It was 5 minutes of news about that. Now, Charlie Kirk's family, I'm sorry that they lost him, but I think the man in the White House is a coward. As far as Jimmy Fallon, he needs to get his job back. Maybe they can sue him, but he needs to sue them. Because for years, comedians, Jimmy Fallon, he's a comedian. When you get through with it, he may be on TV, but he's a comedian. Comedians, Letterman said he's always said things that people don't like. but you take it and go with it. It's nothing personal.
Mhm.
So the man in the White House is such a coward that he has to put his petites out there for people to we don't want him on there no more. Not only him, he has fired so many talented news people. Don Lim,
Mhm.
Miss Reed. He recently fired another one just this week. I can't think of her name. He's a coward. And the way I see it, he's gonna take care of him. We just have to stay prayed up. I'm not saying pray negative prayers, but just stay prayed up. Because God is watching all of this. And he knows it's not right. He got been out here with all this crime he's done. And then he wants to fire somebody because of what they say. The NFL, the radio station, what is it? The
FCC.
FCC, they cowards also. And somebody has got to stand up to him. When he sees somebody standing up to him, he want to get rid of.
All right.
He knew Jimmy Fallon was standing up to him, so he wants to get rid of him. He wants to get rid of anybody that stands up to him because, bottom line, he is a coward. Thank you for taking my call. I'm sorry for the man that died, and I'm sorry for the man that shot him, but the man that died was a racist. What about the two kids at the school shooting the same day that died?
All right.
Thank you for taking my call.
All right, Martian, thank you for your kind words and for following me. I really appreciate it. Dana, I'm going to give about 30 seconds. We're almost out of time here. Kevin and Larry, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to you. Dana, you have the last words.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Just real quick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I know I got 30 seconds. Two things. So first of all, Jimmy Kimmel, I think it was Kimmel.
Mhm.
He didn't actually say anything about Charlie Kirk getting killed. He was making more of a point about Trump's reaction. It's all political to Trump. I don't think Trump really cares about anybody. Quite frankly, he's leveraging this killing for his political gain. Point blank and period. Nobody wants to see anybody killed. But I think that he's just simply leveraging his relationship with the FCC to leverage power over the people who own, and pretty soon they're gonna have a monopoly over the news and media. Stay tuned. I mean, that's how autocracies get started. And as far as our community is concerned, really quickly, I just feel like we need to galvanize all this praying. Hey, I'm a Christian. I go to church, but everybody just wants to, put their head down and say, well, there needs to be action, forward-leaning action. All this, well, let's just pray about it and think about it. I'm not sure where you go with that. When that's what they want you to do. That's how they kept people in slavery. They said, hey, God wants you to be this way. And so therefore, I believe in God like everybody else, but there needs to be more action. Our governor is horrible and in the same ilk as Trump. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your call and comment. You all have a great afternoon from all of us here at AM 1310 95.1. And it's inspirational. We like it. We love you. And you make us smile. We'll see you next time.